Bill Clinton, Jerry Seinfeld, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Aristotle, 6-time Ironman triathlon champion Dave Scott, Christina Aguilera, Steven Seagal, 10-time gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist, Carl Lewis, bodybuilding champion Bill Pearl, UFC fighters Nick Diaz, Jake Shields, John Fitch, and Mac Danzig. What do these people have in common? They all made the choice to be vegetarians. Now, why would someone choose to be a vegetarian? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but the 3 main reasons are the environment, morals, and health. In this speech, I'm only going to be tackling one of those, and that is health. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you why it's important for you to at least cut down, if not eliminate, animal products from your diet. I turned into a vegetarian less than 3 years ago. It started in Los Angeles. I was there sitting in a restaurant with my friend Nick, who some of you met last week. And we were talking and deciding what to order, and we just decided to come up with this idea that, hey, while I'm here for the next 2 weeks, what do we eat clean? Detox. So we did it. 2 weeks went by just like this. It felt pretty good. It was pretty easy. And I got back to Toronto, went back to my regular eating habits, which really, they weren't that bad to begin with. Never was into the junk food or anything. A few months later, I returned to Los Angeles and sitting with Nick at a restaurant again, and I said, hey, Nick, how about we do that clean eating thing again? And, for the next couple of weeks. And to my shock and awe, Nick said that he had never stopped. And he felt great. So the competitor inside me, well, I was really angry. Sorry. And I thought to myself, if that bastard can do it, so can this bastard right here. And since that day, I've never looked back. Now, there are many benefits of a vegetarian diet, but I'm going to talk about the main ones that I've experienced. Energy. I feel a lot more energetic than I used to be. And the reason, meat has hardly any energy in it. In fact, it takes a lot of energy for your body to break it down and digest it. And it can take a long time. Meat can be in your system for days, rotting away. Whereas a vegetarian diet, it doesn't take very much energy to digest. And in fact, it's full of energy, so it leaves you with energy. And it's quickly in and out of you. Recovery. I've noticed that I recover a lot faster from intense workouts and even from illness. In fact, in the last few years, I don't even remember being sick. And that's not unusual for a lot of vegetarians. Well, let's face it. I mean, when health issues come up, doctors usually recommend for you to cut down on animal products. But why is that? What's wrong with it? If you didn't hear that due to that loud interruption, what's wrong with meat? Well, for one thing, the meat that we get these days is stuffed with medicine, such as antibiotics, just to keep the animals alive in the horrible conditions that they have in factory farms. For an example, salmon. Salmon are kept in tanks so crowded that they can hardly swim. Now, where do you think all the poop and the pea go? Nowhere. It's breathed in and ingested by all of the fish over and over and over again. In conditions like this, it's not difficult to see that they can easily get sick. And when one gets sick, they all get sick. And so they're pumped up with antibiotics and other medicines just to keep them alive. And it's a well-known fact that probably many of you know that salmon lose their color in these conditions. And so they have to be dyed pink so that they look healthy and edible. Now, if you're thinking of going to the ocean for your fish, well, let's just say that the mercury levels are so high now that farm fish are probably even a healthier alternative to the ocean. Also, you know, a lot of the animals these days, livestock, are fed growth hormone and steroids to fatten them up. Now, when all these animals are stuffed with all of this crap, like steroids, growth hormone, medicines, antibiotics, where do you think that goes? Into us when we eat them. Now, if you're concerned about protein, Exhibit A, take a look and pen this down. There's also Exhibit A. You can pen this down. Take a look at some of the athletes on these pages. For them and for millions and millions of people around the world who have been vegetarians for generations, protein's obviously not a problem. And if you really think about it, the biggest, most muscular animals in the world, gorillas, giraffes, elephants, all vegetarians. Even the biggest dinosaurs were vegetarians. The protein excuse is actually just a myth. But people wonder, what am I going to eat then? Do you know how much variety of food there is in this world? There are some cuisines that are mostly vegetarian, and they're not lacking in variety, that's for sure. And if you think they're all about tofu, well, Mexican food, Indian food, they don't even know what tofu is. So it's not just tofu on your plate. Sure, it's easier to eat meat, but the easy choice is not necessarily the healthier choice or the right choice. We all know that. Now, if taste is the issue and you can't give up the taste of meat, hey, a lot of things that taste good aren't necessarily good for us. Look at sweets. I'm sure if someone had a problem with obesity, they wouldn't really hesitate to cut down on their sweets, even though they taste good, for the sake of their health. You know, throughout history, a vegetarian diet has been our main source of food. Meat has always been a rarity. Even now in most of the world, people don't eat nearly as much meat as we do here in North America. And the reason for that is, well, you can thank all the marketing and advertising from, you know, the meat industry and junk food. These guys make it seem like meat is such an easy and convenient choice. They make it that way. But that doesn't mean that it's a healthier choice. You know, it's no surprise that here in the West, we have the most heart disease, diabetes, cancers, and obesity compared to other countries that eat a lot less meat. It's like a complete correlation to it, and it's been proven in study after study. I guess here in the West, we've been brainwashed into thinking that if we take meat out of our diet, we're just left with a little bit of lettuce and some peas on the side. Well, that's not necessarily true. And I'm here to tell you that. I want you guys to try, if you will, to wake up from the trance that we've been put in, the brainwashing that we've been subjected to. Wake up and try try to cut down on your meat consumption, a little bit at a time, just by gradually substituting vegetarian options. You'll be glad when you make that choice because you'll be a lot healthier and you'll live a lot longer.